up, guys?
Howdy, brothers.
Welcome back to another episode of Whiskey and Water. We are on our 71st episode. Wow, time flies when you're having fun.
That's actually insane.
If you're watching,
to be fair, I never thought we were going to get past like 12.
You're not wrong. Oh, we actually, fun fact. Well, for those of you who are new here, I'm your co-host Liv.
And I'm your co-host Jess.
And we talk about female entrepreneurship and women in business.
Hell yeah, brother.
But what were we listening to? A podcast, Pat Flynn, Smart Passive Income. Go check it out. All my business owners. That's a good pro tip. Great podcast to follow. But he was saying that if you have done more than 10
episodes,
you are in the
top 25% of like podcasters.
Top 20% of podcasters.
So we have to at least be in the top like 10.
I mean, we're out here
with like 71 episodes
under our belt, making it happen. Coming up on our season 6 finale next week. Wild. But
if you guys have been here from the jump, we love you.
We love you.
And if you haven't been, we still love you.
We still love you. Okay, we are getting into a great episode today with our friends Hailey and Chelcie. They just launched their new business, which is
the Collective Ritual, which is a wellness and spirituality platform that gives you a bunch of different resources like recipes, like daily journaling, daily meditations, like guided meditations, all that good stuff. And honestly, it's just an amazing resource, and we knew that the brothers would love it, so we needed to have them on and talk about their journeys a little bit.
Yeah, we talk about it. They're also models, so they are.
That's how we know them.
Their career is in modeling, and now they're diving into this business venture together, and we get all into talking about partnerships and just, being in the very beginning phases of a project and working together. And Chelsea's actually a certified health coach, and Hailey really talks a lot about how journaling really was a safe place for her when she was going through a dark time with modeling. And they just have such great stories, and we're really excited because they're in our like Miami community of women and models. So it was so nice to connect with them in this way and be able to have a really good, authentic, vulnerable open conversation. Yeah, it's great. And you guys should definitely check out the Collective Ritual. They just launched. Their pricing is super affordable, and they are offering so many great resources and really valuable stuff on their site.
And your first month is free.
Yes,
love that for you guys.
Yeah. Okay, let's get into our sponsors,
the people who keep this podcast afloat.
Yes.
And you guys already know. Celsius. What more do we have to say?
Sparkling Fuji apple pear.
Today, sparkling strawberry guava. This is their new flavor. And honestly, it's gas.
It is gas. It is healthy energy. It accelerates metabolism, and it burns body fat.
This is what I have been running on lately.
Girl.
You guys, sometimes I try to cut down on the caffeine a little bit, and it doesn't even have that much, but it's more of like I should try to operate without it.
Yes.
Lately, I have not been operating without it. There is at no point in the day that I don't have half a Celsius in me or in my hand.
In your bloodstream.
In my bloodstream.
Oh, God.
My personality is 50% Celsius.
Oh, my God. That's hilarious. Guys, it has no high fructose corn syrup, no aspartame, no preservatives, and no artificial colors or flavors. You love to see it. And
link in description.
And you love to drink it.
Amazing.
On to our next sponsor of this week's episode and many episodes coming up.
Yes, we have Women's Realm. We love Women's Realm. I've told you guys all about it. It's an amazing platform and resource for women and men alike.
Yeah, so go ahead, sorry.
For things in the beauty industry, fashion, hair care reviews, skincare, lifestyle, wellness. It's really just a one-stop shop for everything that you need as a guide to femininity.
Ooh,
you love that?
Getting spicy.
You like that?
Why is it spicy?
They have just amazing articles and resources, people that have already vetted these products and searched through everything so that you don't have to. Really they have everything covered. Some of these articles I'm going to read off to you guys are a quick guide to your college packing list, rolling back the years with H Wellness anti-aging serum, and then 10 healthy dinner ideas for 2. So it's honestly, like I said, a one-stop shop for anything that you need.
Everything you need and more. Link in our description to check it out. All right, now we will get into our weekly challenge for this week.
Weekly challenge.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so sorry for that.
It's been a long day. Well, actually,
it's been a long fucking month, and it's, what day is it? The 5th.
We'll tell the people. This morning we shot for our giveaway clients that won our giveaway for Mood. If you don't already know, Mood is our content creation agency. Well, it's a creative agency, but our main service as of now is content creation. And we did a giveaway a few weeks ago. We had 3 giveaway winners, and we shot 2 of them today. It came out so good.
Wow. I think it exceeded my expectations, honestly.
And I'm just so excited to deliver this content because I know the small business owners are just going to be so thrilled, and that's such a good feeling.
Yeah, I mean, we really
we take so much pride.
And we really do work so hard. Olivia made these beautiful call sheets that had our logo, had the other business, and then the shot list, the wardrobe, image inspiration, which is honestly just the vision that I had for it. And I'm not good at that stuff. I don't have the patience or the time necessarily to or the eye, the graphic eye to make call sheets pretty and make media kits and stuff like that. That's just really not my area of expertise. And so Olivia really definitely supplements us in that way and keeps us organized, and just it went really well.
So fun.
However,
what?
We need an intern.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, we're actually looking to fill 2 intern positions. If you guys are Miami based and interested, please email us at holla@whiskeyandwaterpodcast.com. We're looking for 1 more administrative role and 1 more creative role that would be hands-on, working with us, assisting us at shoots and learning from us.
I think the administrative one could potentially be
virtual.
Remote. Virtual or remote. So if you guys feel like that could be you, please send us an email. We would love to work with you.
Yeah. Send over your resume.
Yeah, and there's definitely possibility to, work together on a larger scale in the future, because we're growing pretty rapidly.
Yeah, we're out here scaling, and we definitely need the help to be able to scale.
Hell yeah, brother.
Okay, so now we move on to our weekly challenge.
Oh, yes.
This week, this is something that's really relevant because it is a thought that I had and then just spoke into words, and it kind of just was at the right moment at the right time and just validated it for me. It just was aligned to many things. It doesn't even faze me anymore now. When things like that happen, I'm just oh, yeah.
Oh, because it was so aligned?
Yeah. I had literally just thought the day before, oh, this would be a good weekly challenge. And then you reminded me. I was complaining about my mom a little bit. And she was like, yeah, but you get to reply to her DMs. You don't have to reply to her DMs. And it just really was validating for me because the day before I was driving, and we get so caught up in the rut of everyday life and our chores and our things and our obligations, and you can fall into this place of oh, I have to do this and I have to do that.
They start feeling like chores. They start feeling like mundane tasks. But when you just make that mindset shift from you don't have to do something, you get to do it, it really just
changes everything.
Changes the game, because it's not everyone can say that they get to do these things.
Yeah, and it's even something as simple as a shower, for example. I have to shower.
Yes,
you get to shower.
It checks your privilege.
Absolutely.
Is what it does. It checks your privilege. It checks it just puts things in perspective for you, because a lot of people don't get to do these things, and whatever it may be, oh, I have to drive to the pharmacy. You get to drive to the pharmacy and get your freaking drugs or whatever you need. Shit like that you really kind of would
take for granted
or be annoyed that you have to do.
Yes.
Even me the other day, I was driving down to the Keys to unsuspend my license because of Miami DMVs are shit. And I was like, fuck, I have to drive down to the Keys. And then I was like, I get to drive down to the Keys in my nice car with the windows fucking down, and I'm on a beautiful day. I get to go to the Florida Keys to unsuspend my license. I was at least I have a license.
Yeah, at least you can drive. At least you have transportation. Yeah. And it's not just
speaking of, I shouldn't have been driving technically, but we're going to overlook that fact.
Yeah, for legal reasons, that is a joke. She was not driving with an unsuspended license.
Couldn't be me.
I mean, with a suspended license.
Yes.
Anyways. Our brain, it's been a long day, guys. Our brains are a little clustered and flustered. But yeah, I just, that resonates with me so hard because I find myself slipping into that, and I find it stressing me out. Even like the shoot this morning, yesterday, I was like, I have to get everything ready, I have to do this, and then I'm like, wait, no, I get to be creative, I get to grow this business with my best friend and partner, you know, like it puts so much into perspective. And a lot of times it's weird, but it often comes into my mind. I've just watched documentaries about like people who are in jail for like the wrong reasons or whatever, and they don't have their freedom, or like, you know, people are like, oh, I have to jog 2 miles. It's like, you have the freedom to jog 2 miles, or like you get to take a workout class. So our weekly challenge, moral of the story, is to just check yourself this week when you find yourself in that, having that dialogue of I have to do this, I have to do that. Tell yourself that you get to do this and you get to do that. So let us know if you guys like that, and
if it resonates with you.
If you have any comments, we would love to hear. Our DMs are always open. We reply to everyone, and that's that.
All right, brothers. I hope you enjoy this episode as much as we did.
Yes, take a screenshot if you're listening right now, and tag us, post it on your story, and send this to a friend who you know would love it. Please copy the link right now on whatever platform you're listening to. Send it to one friend who would benefit from this and who would enjoy listening.
Hell yeah, brothers. We appreciate the support as always, and we hope you enjoy. All right, guys. We are live with Hailey and Chelcie, and of course, Olivia. We are sharing a mic right now, guys. So how are you guys today?
Good.
Feeling good. Excited.
Very excited. Thank you for having us.
Thanks. They do say that the second time's the charm, so thanks for joining us at the Whiskey and Water table once again.
Gosh, the first time.
For those of you who don't, obviously, I mean, no one would know. I'm like, those of you who don't know, literally no one knows except us. But this is actually our second time trying to record. The first time we sat down and the power went out as soon as we sat down. So second time is a charm. Ladies, we're so excited to have you guys here and get into the good stuff. Let's get into it.
Yeah, this is the first time we had 4 people at the Whiskey and Water table, so this is a little milestone for us. But for some background for our audience, tell us a little bit about who you guys are and what you do.
So my name is Chelcie May. I'm originally from Canada. I am a model, and I'm also a certified health coach. So I live down here in Miami. I do have some clients that I help on the side, and now we have started the collective ritual together.
Yeah, and my name is Hailey, and I have been on a health and wellness journey for the past few years now, and I really focus on journaling and just finding yourself through your own personal journaling prompts and whatnot.
Yay.
So
I love that. I actually, back in COVID and quarantine, when we did the COVID cocoon, that we like used a lot of her yoga meditations and her time lapses for our graphics and everything, and it's always very inspiring.
Oh, well, thank you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I'm really excited to talk about you. We're all models. We've all been in the industry, so we're excited to dive into kind of how you, before we go into the collective ritual, we want to pick your brains on how you guys have stayed grounded in such a materialistic world, and like world, and but also specifically industry. I think a lot of people struggle with that because it is so appearance based, and obviously wellness and everyone's spiritual journey is very not appearance based. It's about like,
very sacred.
It's sacred, and it's going inside and really seeing what's in there. So I'm excited to chat about all that with you guys.
Yes.
So I'm curious to know how your guys' like wellness journeys began. Like, you know, obviously a lot of people kind of view models as like very shallow, and you guys are both very deep individuals. So what kind of started your journeys?
So I think for me, at least, like when I started modeling when I was like 16 years old, I grew up in a very healthy household. My mom cooked all super healthy food, and she'd always tell me to eat very clean. And when I moved out of the house, I kind of just like adapted and took that.
That's the first time I heard her accent.
Oh, am I Canadian? When I moved out of the house, when I started cooking food for myself, I cooked healthy food, and I got really into it. And I think that was very about the physical, right? You know, like eating healthy to keep your measurements, eating healthy to stay skinny. And then it wasn't until I think when I was like 6 years into modeling, that I realized that there's so much more to take care of, which is like your mental health, you know? And that's where the spirituality, I think, came in, and meditation started, and journaling started for me, and working out, which is also like the stress reliever, and like not doing it just to be skinny, doing it to like because you want to and because you love it and it feels amazing. So I think modeling was a really good like dive or stepping stone into the wellness world, and it kind of shaped me now. So I love it.
That's so interesting, considering like I feel like it's kind of backwards for a lot of people. You know, like a lot of models develop eating disorders or just like unhealthy relationships with their selves. So it's really interesting that it kind of led you into a really healthy path with yourself.
Well, I think my lucky stars that like I'm not in a high fashion modeling world. Like I didn't do that.
It does make a difference.
Yeah, I've always done commercials. So I never did like the runway where I had to be like stick thin. I've always done more commercials. So it didn't feel like I had to go that route. And I've also like, I guess I have like good genes from my mom. So I never had to really be like, you need to drop 20 pounds. And it's like, oh my God, it was just kind of like, you need to stay healthy.
Yeah,
so,
good.
lucky enough. But I mean, I understand how girls do that. That's so sad.
Yeah, I mean, my story is kind of similar to what Jessica was saying. I got into a really dark place with modeling because I was trying to move to New York and I was trying to get super, super skinny. And I'm not a naturally tiny model. And it was then when I realized all of the bad things that the agencies were telling me, and it just got really like a really dark place. So I took my journal and I kind of went into my own little hermit and I just wrote all of the things down that really, hurt. And that's how I kind of realized that this is what I wanted to do, and just to make myself feel better. And yeah, here I am now. So it was a lot.
Yeah. And I love that for you. And I feel like a lot of people kind of struggle with journaling because they don't know like what they're supposed to be writing about, what the parameters are, because, yourself in a piece of paper, there's almost like, it's like analysis paralysis. It's like, I can put so much on this that I don't know what I want to put on this. And so definitely when we talk about the collective ritual, I definitely want to talk about your journal prompts.
So I love the journey that you guys went through, and it's interesting, like she said, how like your process was kind of, a lot of people are backwards into it, and you kind of fell into it the right way, which is a lucky thing, definitely. And you kind of had a harder journey getting into it, and I feel like journaling might have been like that safe place for you. It ended up being.
Yeah, it was my safe space, and it was the only place where I felt like I was completely alone, and I was the only one there on paper. And it was me and my journal, and that's it.
And had you gotten any outside inspiration to pick up the journal, or was that something that you just like had an idea in your brain and you're like, maybe this would help?
Yeah, it just came to me. I think maybe I was looking up like things online, how to help myself and how to heal. And one of the things was daily journals. And that was one thing that I stuck to. And I think also going back to when I was 15, 16, I always had kept a journal, and I still have like my old diaries, and I go back and it's like,
I so wish I did that.
Wow, it's so confronting, and it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I was feeling those things. I wish I could go give myself a hug.
Right.
But so I kind of also knew how good I would feel when I was 15, 16-year-old writing these things down. So I just turned that on and went back to that. My younger self.
I love that so much. And also it's like, it's such a good tool, like not only in your personal development, but also in business too, to be keeping track. Like the fact that you can look back and like see your progress and see like where you were at that phase, what your thoughts were, what you were going through, it really makes you realize how far you've come since then. Because sometimes it's like kind of hard because you're so used to just like being and in the moment and in your thoughts. But when you have something to look back on, you're like, you can track it, it's trackable.
And the things you worried about at one point, you look back and you're like, why did I even care that much about it? And now
it makes you laugh.
Yeah.
It does.
It makes you laugh because you're like, wow, like I've come so far. And it could have been something so simple like a friendship or something or a fight. And you're like, I really cared that much about that argument.
And what a good feeling, because like, hello, all we ever want to do is evolve. So like when you can look back and be like, I've grown so much, and like back at that point, this affected me so much. And if that were to happen now, I wouldn't even bat an eye. Like that's, I think, the best feeling in the world. I journaled too when I was little, but the only thing I have is my UFO sighting in my diaries.
I remember you talking about this on the podcast.
That's literally the only relevant thing in there, and I'm like, frame that shit. I definitely want to get into the Collective Ritual, which is a subscription-based website you guys have recently launched. You actually launched on the 1st.
Yes.
So this is going to come out, we pre-record a little bit, but I definitely want to get into it and everything that it is. So to sum it up, what would you say the services that you guys are providing to people?
So the Collective Ritual is a lifestyle and wellness brand as a whole. So we do have a blog on there as well, but then within it, we're doing a subscription-based website. So You'll get recipes every month. We're going to do 16 new ones. It's going to be gut friendly, paleo, gluten free, vegan. Hailey's been vegan or is vegan, so she handles all the good recipes there. And then meditations, podcasts, live Zooms every month with practitioners. So yoga flows, tarot card readings, full moon workshops.
A one-stop shop for like
One-stop
all
shop.
things
Exactly.
wellness.
Yes.
Exactly. And we actually started this because we were looking at what we were doing every single day that made us feel like our best selves. And when we got together, we realized it was listening to the podcast,
All of these
journaling, and
things.
eating healthy. And yeah, so then that's how the collective ritual was born and is.
Yeah, we wanted to make it like a community of women who like also are in search to feel like their highest potential. You know, like when you wake up, what it is that you do that you feel like you're on top of the world. You're like getting everything off your to-do list. You're checking it off. And it's like your perfect morning routine, eating great food, listening to like inspiring meditations, inspiring podcasts like the Whiskey and Water.
Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah, I love the Whiskey and Water podcast, by the way. It was like my quarantine little like safety. It made me so happy.
We love your support always. She was definitely our COVID cocoon queen. Yeah. She was all over it. It's been really interesting because we both know both of you independently of each other.
Right.
And so it was just really interesting seeing both of you and both of your spiritual journeys kind of align together. And then we saw that you guys were like cooking something up and we were wondering what it was. And I just think that we just think that this is like so great for you guys. And I think that not only like, I think also what's really important is like your background and like the fact that you guys are both like literally international models and you come from this background and you're still so grounded. And I just think that that's really amazing.
Thank you.
And I also think it's cool because the dynamic, we were laughing earlier the first time that we tried to sit down and do this, that the dynamic is also very balanced between the two of you, with one of you being like more fiery, Chelcie being more fiery and maybe more aggressive, and, you know, Hailey being the more low-key one, or just,
More water?
Water? Yeah, more water. I'm like, I don't know how to say it without either side sounding kind of like, I'm like, hey, you're fucking aggressive.
Yeah, I'm like,
no.
I'm very aggressive.
I find myself to be more grounded, and you're definitely just like, you're that fire. You are the one, you're like the excitement. You're the one who keeps this like alive and exciting, and you know, and I'm kind of like, okay, well, yeah, let's bring it back down. And you're like, no, let's do it. Like, let's like, there's more. I don't know.
I'm kind of like, if I think of something, I need to do it right now, and I need to like act on it. I'm like, okay, we got to do this, this, and this. She's like, okay. I'm like, no, we got to do this, this, and this.
No, it's funny because we are very similar in that way too. Like, she'll text me at 11 p.m. with like a business idea, and I'm like,
that's literally me last night.
And then
I'm
like
asleep.
literally last week, I'm like, hey, I'm shutting my phone off at 9 p.m. from now on. So if I don't answer, that's why, you know. But it's been interesting, like just working together. I'm sure you guys have even noticed this already in your business journey, your partnership journey, that there's just new things to learn every week about working with someone, you know?
Oh, yeah.
I'm curious to know like what that dynamic is with the two of you, and like how you find that balance, because you're also friends, like you're really, really close friends, best friends. So that is a very different relationship from being business partners.
Yes, that's for sure. And I think we're like still trying to figure out how to.
We don't come from a
Totally.
business back. I didn't study business. I have never had my own business in my life. So this is a learning process for both of us. I think we're both learning at the same time. So it helps, you know?
Yeah, and it's cool because like we are, you know, very close friends, best friends, and it's really bringing us a lot closer together.
Absolutely.
And we're learning how to deal with each other's like maybe triggers or other things, and we're like kind of just figuring out how to flow.
Yeah, it's a learning process, right? I feel like it's like
Yeah.
any relationship, even loving relationship, like a partner relationship, you know?
Yeah.
The other day, oh my God, it's so funny. I was introducing
Yes,
Hailey.
spill the tea.
And I was introducing Hailey. I was like, that's my partner over there. And then
Yes! Oh
she
my
was
God,
like,
the amount
oh
of
my God,
times.
congratulations. I'm like, my business partner. I'm like, my work one. I have a boyfriend, by the way.
Well, you know, it's totally fine, you know?
Yeah, of
Very
course.
fine, but I
we
was just
walked
like,
out.
no.
We walked out. I was like, come on, baby, let's go.
Yeah.
No, I can't even tell you, especially when she cut her hair, the amount of times that
Oh my
we've
God.
looked like, you know, we're in a relationship. It's hilarious.
That's great. You
And
just
we've
flash your ring.
even like said it before, like even before I cut my hair. I like we once like had a lunch with my grandparents, and we said this on the pod a few months ago. We like left the lunch and we were like, wait, do my grandparents think I like just came out just now? Because I was like, yeah, this is my Olivia. Like,
And we're like telling
They
and
definitely
we're
do.
like telling them like what we do and what we do in Miami and how we stay busy, and like I'm literally sitting in the car and I'm thinking like, Jess, I think that might have like came off like that, but anyways, regardless, no, I think it's so cool that you guys are like just now in this journey, and it gets easier, but there's things to learn every step of the way. Like, it's a constant evolution, and it's a constant like tango, like it's just a dance. You guys are constantly just dancing.
Yeah, probably. And I feel like if you have the same vision in mind of where you want it to go, and like same with a relationship, right? If you have the same morals, everything's going to work out. So as long as like you have the same vision for the company and you both want something out of it, then I think you should be okay.
Definitely. And what we kind of always have in our like toolbox of like emotions of working together is that like we always know that we have our best interests in mind and that we always have the best intentions for each other. So like even if something like might come off wrong via text and like it kind of like triggers you in the moment, you kind of like are able to take a backseat and be like, okay, well, she's not doing this to trigger me. She's doing this because it's like for the greater good or whatever it may be. So I would say that like during the partnership, it's just kind of like having those two things in mind at all times.
Pushing your ego aside.
Oh yeah, definitely. Big time. But it's also every day, yeah. But it's also such a good like challenge for yourself, your personal growth, because it really does, like, nothing challenges you more than like having a partner and having to like work through the kinks with them, because you know the closer you are with someone, the more you argue, kind of, or like the more to heart you take things. Jess is literally sign languaging
like a stage bomb from
but no, it's going to be interesting, and we're really excited for you guys. I want to go back to talking about the collective ritual and kind of who your ideal client is, because when I learned more about the website and the subscription base and everything you guys are offering, I already could think of like 5 of my friends who this would be a great service for.
Love
and
that.
For me, okay, I'm going to let you guys go first, and then I'll tell you like who I think the ideal and like why I think it's such a great idea for people.
Honestly, it's for anyone, and I don't say that lightly. I mean, it can be anyone from high school up into, you know, moms and like older women, because everyone can find something on the collective ritual. Like,
yeah,
really.
I really think that there's something for everyone, and it doesn't mean that we're here to like, we're trying to like offer you all the resources and tools, right? And we're not saying that our way is the right way, but we're trying to put it all in one place, and you can kind of pick what works for you. You know, like if you want to meditate in the morning or you want to meditate at night, that's fine. But we have it laid out in a certain way that we think is great. So, I mean, I think it's for everyone. There's something for everyone. And there's so much we're doing too that's going to be even more for everyone.
And not to mention, like, being on your spiritual journey isn't like a one-stop like thing. It's not like, oh, well, I found meditation and I'm good.
I'm done.
It's a long-term journey. So that's why these things can help people along their journey no matter what phase they're in, because it's like no matter if you're like just starting your journey or if you're, you know, years into it, like you can always come back to like wellness and spirituality and find new things. Like that's why people meditate for like years. Like, you know, when you start meditating, you don't stop once you like are like enlightened. It's like it's a journey, and it's like, you know, people who are spiritual do it until they die, because there's always more to be found there.
Exactly.
I mean, there's so much inside of us.
I think there's so much to heal too, and that's like a big thing for us. Or Hailey's journaling as well. We really want to, which we're working on now, is journaling workshops. So, you know, like healing your inner child and wounds and like anything that you know triggers and stuff, and they can come from any time in your life, and you can be healing them till you're 100 years old.
Right.
So really, if journaling workshop is for friggin' everyone.
Yeah, and I think even like in terms of business, things like that, like when you don't work out these emotional and like these emotional kinks inside of you, I would say they project in different ways in your life. So I feel like a lot of business owners can relate to that, because their business might not be running the way they want it to be, and if they really took the time to sit down and reflect, it might stem back to personal issues and like maybe trauma or just things that they need to work on themselves and then reevaluate like how they're handling their business. So I think it really could benefit like anyone in any profession at any stage of life.
Exactly. Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
And also what I think is great is someone who, because we often, I feel like, get the question of, I want to start my spiritual journey, but I don't know where to start. And I feel like that is your guys' gold mine right now.
Exactly. And I think people are so intimidated.
Yes.
And, you know, you go on YouTube, you're like, okay, well, I'm going to start on YouTube.
Yes.
I'm like, okay, 10-minute meditation. And you go and there's hundreds of things, and then you click one and like it doesn't really resonate with you.
Right.
So that's why, like, where we come in, and we've picked all of the ones that have really, really changed our meditation practice and everything else. So you go in and it's
everything
all
on there is
for
curated
you.
for a reason, you know,
I
things that
love
resonate with us and things that we really feel make a difference, because there's so much you can do. And I feel like there's so many trends to wellness and spirituality. Like,
Definitely.
you got to do your gratitude, you got to do this. And I love all of that stuff, but it's intimidating because, like, I don't have time for this. Like,
Right.
you know, I don't know where to start. I don't have time for it. So yeah, we really just wanted to be like a one-stop shop.
I love that, because like you said, you go on and thousands pop up. It is very oversaturated. So to have like a resource that everything is already vetted, you know, it's things that you guys personally like have connected with and feel validated by. I think that's so awesome, especially for like I said, for that person who is looking for, you know, the beginning of their journey, and they're like, what books do I read? Where do I go? Who do I talk to? Especially if they don't have anyone in their close circle who is diving into that stuff. Like, this is the perfect place to start.
And yeah, also that, like you said, no one to talk to. That's another reason why we're here. We have a group, and we want women to feel comfortable coming to that and writing in if they have any questions or they don't know where to start, even within those little things. Like, do you have like any little tips? We're there for that reason.
Yeah, like
to
creating
connect.
like a place where you can talk about your manifestations, to your triggers, to your just if you're feeling weird that day and what you can do to like lift your mood. I always say that, like, you know, that meme that was like running around for a while that was just trying to drink enough water, have a social life, meditate, eat healthy, and do this. And I was like, I resonated with that meme so much. And I was like, it's so true. There's so much stuff we have to do every single day to be like, I'm killing it. But there's not a place to like keep track of it. So, I mean, that's like essentially the goal with it, is to have that resources and tools all done for you, one stop.
All right, guys, before we continue with the rest of our incredible interview, we have one sponsored message from our very exciting sponsor for this week's episode,
Podcorn.
Podcorn.
We're going to tell you guys a little bit about Podcorn. We actually found Podcorn through last week's guest,
Yes,
Natalie.
Natalie.
She had spoken about it on her YouTube, and we were like, wait, what is this? And are we sleeping on it? So we looked it up immediately, and it's honestly just an amazing resource for podcasters. And I honestly, we were honestly like so mad, because we were like, we should have known about this 71 episodes ago.
Yes, literally. We're kind of upset that we just now found it, but hey, better late than never. Podcorn is a marketplace connecting podcasters to amazing podcast sponsorship opportunities, such as host read ads, interview segments, topical discussions, and more.
With Podcorn, there is no middleman. Podcasters of all sizes can browse and choose opportunities right on the platform, set their own rates, and collaborate with brands directly without any exclusivities. Which is exactly why we should have known about this forever ago.
Yes.
But we're here now, and we wanted to just share, because we had that episode a couple weeks ago where we kind of gave you guys a look into the world of podcasting and what it kind of looks like to us. And obviously, had we known about this then, we would have told you guys, but here we are.
Here we are. And definitely, if you're thinking about doing a podcast or you have one already, this is such an amazing resource. Like we said, they don't, you can have any range of audience size. So it's really great for anyone. So you guys can click the link in our show notes to sign up to Podcorn and start browsing sponsorship opportunities now.
Hell yeah, brothers.
Okay.
Enjoy.
We'll get right back into our episode.
And I love that. But I'm also curious, because it's hard to kind of take wellness and spirituality into a business. And I really love how you guys have kind of like, captured that. And I am curious how that's been for you, and how you've kind of, obviously it's subscription based. So like how you guys felt comfortable like pricing it out. Like, like how do you put a price on like someone's spirituality or enlightenment, and like, because what you're providing is also so invaluable, so I'm just curious on, what your thoughts were on the back end of that.
I think when it comes to spirituality and when it comes to the price, we want it, first of all, the price is, it's supposed to be something like spirituality and wellness is expensive, right? You go to Whole Foods and you don't want to buy healthy food, or you don't want to buy organic because it's like breaking the bank, or subscribing to certain things online and memberships are super expensive. So we wanted the $9.99 to be like kind of like a Netflix subscription. You don't really notice it coming out. It doesn't cost a lot for you to be a part of it. It's more about a sense of community. And I think that it's kind of hard to make a business in spirituality because you kind of forget about your own spiritual journey. because we've been working so hard that sometimes I'm like, I haven't meditated in 4 days, and I'm telling people to meditate every day.
Yeah.
And then I haven't journaled in all weekend, and I'm telling people to journal. So I think it's really important that you like take care of yourself first in order to preach, you know, and number one is you, and then it's everyone else.
Retweet what she said. Yeah, I think it's so important to practice what you preach, and we've gone through the same exact experience of, you know, and especially it's something with the podcast too. It's like once you put it out there, you're like, in our real life, we're like, well, I said it on the pod, so I gotta do it in real life. Like, I don't know, it's just you feel like you have to hold yourself accountable.
And it's definitely a way to hold yourself accountable, because it makes you actually think like, oh my gosh, I'm like, you know, because you go through, maybe I do go through times where maybe a couple weeks I'm not really strict on myself with my meditation. But now with the collective ritual, I go to sleep at night thinking, you know what, like I have to wake up in the morning and do this. Like obviously I have to meditate. Obviously I have to do these things. It'll make me feel better.
Totally.
And like again, practice what you preach.
And also something that we realized recently, it was when we were deciding on rebranding the podcast to be more business oriented, and we were kind of, you know, having some imposter syndrome, like who are we? Are we even business owners? Like how can we sit here and say that?
It's a real thing. We'll get into
that. We'll get into that too. But what we realized is just like, when you talk about something, you become so much more about that thing that you're talking about. Like, just talk to people about it, preach it, think it. Like,
you really have to live it.
You become more of that person that you want to be when you just are, you know? So you're like, well, I run a spirituality website. I have to meditate every day. You know what I mean? So I feel like it works in that way where it pushes you to be better if you let yourself.
For sure.
Imposter syndrome is something that we deal with on like a daily basis. Like people like even like something as simple as like making my Clubhouse like login, and it's like you have to do your bio. I'm like putting in entrepreneur. Like who the fuck am I to be putting like I own a creative agency. I have a podcast. It's like blah blah blah. But I'm like, it literally does not even feel like me. That feels like just like a persona of like the things that I just do. And it's really hard to feel like those things are like extensions of me. And so I am really curious to kind of see, because you guys are, you know, babies, you know, you just birthed this brand new collective ritual baby, and how you guys have kind of like dealt with that and what your experience has been.
So like I was saying yesterday, I feel like when it comes to the collective ritual, you have to do an elevator pitch, right? And I was telling you that. And I think that was my number one thing that I started to feel like I was having imposter syndrome. I'm like, I do not know what to say. I went to an event actually where people started saying, congratulations on your new company. And I hadn't even launched yet. And I was like, oh yeah, thank you. It's nothing. Like, you know, I like shut it down. I'm like, oh, it's nothing. You know, it's just like, it's whatever. And I'm like, no, this is awesome. People don't just like start businesses, don't do this because they're scared. And it is scary. I mean, I'm still scared.
That's okay.
I'm scared too.
The whole thing is scary, but what we used to say is do it scared, because I mean, if you let that hold you back, we'll never do anything, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, for me, I love guided meditations, and the other night I was trying to film my own guided meditation. I was trying to take people through it, and the whole time while I was speaking, I was like, oh my God. Okay. I was like, so now breathe in, connect to your breath. And I'm like, who am I? You're like,
it'd be like that.
It's on the collective ritual. It's
oh
pretty
gosh.
good.
Yeah, no, it'd be like that though.
Yeah.
Even with starting like mood, we were shooting the other day, and I was like, yo, I'm a photographer. like that's so weird for me, especially because I've been on the other side of the lens for so long.
Yeah.
And being a photographer was something I always like yearned for. Like I have photos from like high school where I would do like photo shoots, and like I thought I was like top tier. I was like submitting my photos to like photo competitions online. Like I've always like loved photography, but like I never thought that like I like found modeling, and I was like, oh well, I guess this is like my thing. So kind of taking on the role of a photographer has been such a big imposter syndrome. I like literally look at other photographers, and I'm like, I just think to myself, like I feel like I'm not doing what they're doing, but like I am. You know, like we're all doing it.
And I feel like, honestly, I might be wrong here, but I feel like that comes from us being models first. I feel like because people have always looked at us like we're just a pretty face. We don't have a lot to offer. That's all we are, you know, but actually that's why we're doing this. We have a lot more to offer.
Yes.
And that's why we're starting these things outside of modeling. So I think that's where the self-doubt comes from. All this rejection we've dealt with, everything.
And I think even more specifically, it's like influencing, because, you know, I kind of went from, you know, I was like a model and an influencer, Olivia and I both. And like the influencing world has such a negative stigma. Like people fucking hate influencers, and, you know, sometimes with good reason. You know, sometimes we can be super cringy and whatnot, but like what we do is like a real fucking job. It's a real profession. It like takes so much work, you know, to be content creators. And so kind of for me, like phasing from, you know, Instagram influencer content creator to like professional photographer has been like super, super big imposter syndrome, because I was like, I don't want people to think of me as just like the influencer who picked up a camera and is like now shooting people, because that's not the, you know, while it is the case, it's also not the case. Yeah. And even like with mood, you know, we don't really put our names all over it or like our faces all over it, because like I almost like don't even want it to be associated at times. So do you guys have a similar experience?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we're trying not to be super like face, like we're just some models trying to take you on this spiritual journey and sign up because you're a fan and we're influencers. That's not at all what we're trying to do. We're almost trying to do the opposite. We want to kind of make it like, yes, we're the face of it, but it's its own thing, and we're working on the back end.
It's interesting because I think to the average person, they would think, oh, well, you're a model. Perfect. Like, use that to your advantage. And we're sitting here like, no, it's kind of a disadvantage, because there's so many preconceived notions about models. And that was a big reason why we started the podcast too, is because we were like, we can finally like give ourselves a voice and show that we're more than pretty faces, that there's actually something going on up here in these noggins sometimes. But yeah, that was a huge incentive for us, was like, let's show some depth. Like, let's show our real selves and be vulnerable, and not just this pretty fucking image that you know nothing about.
Exactly.
Like,
we actually went live, last week, I think. And we were talking, and then this random guy, which I usually ignore, commented and was like, it seems like you really have absolutely nothing to say.
You have nothing meaningful to say at all.
Get ready for the truth.
You're boring.
And I was like,
you're boring. We're boring.
And I was like, well, this is exactly why this is for women, because I'm trying to get away. I'm trying to, I mean, look, not all men are bad. I'm not saying that.
Of course.
But it's for empowering women, because men have been the reason why I've gotten down into this little shell, and now I'm trying to break out. So yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's so important, because especially in our industry of modeling, it's like it's so dominated by male figures in positions that they shouldn't be in agencies or scouting, whatever it is, you know, even fashion. So I love that you guys took the next step into like, you know, now you're not just models, and it feels nice to say. I feel like modeling is so glorified, and like, granted, some days it is nice, you get to wear a robe or get your makeup done, whatever, but that, we've talked about it before, that gets old very fast, and like getting your makeup done isn't fun anymore, and like you don't get a rush when you see how great you look in photos. You're like, yeah, it's just like my job. Like, you become desensitized to it almost. So I love that you guys really took that next step and took a leap of faith to do this. And I just really love that for you guys. I'm proud of it. We're proud to see like the growth of your guys' journey, and it just feels nice having a parallel, and also I feel like it feels nice having other models show that we're more than just models, especially in Miami, you know.
Amen to that.
It's a nice, and I love that you guys are trying to create a community down here, because we're also trying to do the same, and I just love it.
You know, when you like used to go to a job and they'd be like, so do you just model? Yeah. And you're like,
yes.
Yeah.
It's always the do you just
model? And it's like, yeah, because that's my career, because it sounds like to them, it's just like, oh, you can't just model, but it's like, no, I just model. But now it's like,
you're like, I happen to be an international fucking model, bitch.
And now we're like, and I own a wellness company, which
it is
really
nice
cool.
Like,
yeah, it's cool.
So cool.
It was my first time actually saying that. They're like, so are you in school? And I'm like, no, how old do you think I am? But I'm flattered.
Yeah, thank you.
No, but they're like, yeah, so do you do anything else? I'm like, yeah, well, just started this whole company. And it was the first time I said it. And I said, wow, like, I actually did.
Yeah.
You know, it feels good.
It feels so good. And you'll get like more and more used to just saying like, yeah, this is what we do. If you guys get cards made, you're like, here's my business card.
So that comes more naturally eventually, right? Because now we're like having this pitch, and we're telling people what it is, and we're like, and
we'll look at each other and we're like, we
yeah.
What did we do, Hailey?
You guys, especially once you get things rolling and you have your subscribers and you're just like in it, you'll get so used to it. It'll be second nature. But it's funny because like I've said on the podcast before, like a lot of times, like especially when I was in LA and meeting a bunch of new people, like I would be like so hesitant to say when people said, what do you do? I would literally be like, I would say I'm a student before I would say I'm a model because of the negative connotation, or not negative connotation, but the pre-assumptions.
It's still awkward to say to strangers, right?
The pre-assumptions.
I'm a model.
So they're like, so you think you're pretty?
Yeah.
So you're like,
so you think you're really pretty.
So it's just funny because like, yeah, I would always like resort to saying that very last. I'm like, I'm a student. I work in digital media. Like still, even now when people ask, I'm like, digital media, content creation, not a model.
I actually told people I was a stylist for the longest time, even though I don't style at all. Because
you have to have like something else.
Because I would be like in an Uber, and the Uber driver would be like, so like, what do you do? And they're like, I'm like, I work in fashion. What do you do in fashion? Stylist. Because I don't want to say model, because then I'm like, I'm in the back of this guy's car.
And you can't say designer because then he's like, what's your brand?
Exactly.
Oh my God.
So it's like, it's your one out.
Who do you model for?
Oh God.
The best question.
The worst.
Brands.
Brands. Many a brand.
Many brand.
So I am interested. Olivia and I, of course, we talk about our partnership all the time. So I would love to hear like a fresh perspective on what your advice would be to either people or, you know, like a partnership that wants to start a business, or just individuals who want to start a business together.
Align your goals and say how you feel in the moment. You know, don't harbor things. I think if you really start like being like, oh my God, that bothered me, then it's gonna blow up. You know, you have to I think, you know what,
you're right,
yourself.
Olivia. No, I'm kidding.
This is your time.
No, you have to be so honest with yourself and the person that you're going to be starting the business with, because if not, and you just bottle everything in, it's just going to explode, and then everything's just gonna.
But I think essentially the larger picture is like, you got to have the same vision.
Yeah.
You got to have the same morals. You got to have the same push each other. Work ethics are sometimes different, but you know, sometimes people are go, and sometimes people aren't. But like, that's why it's a balance, and you push each other. You pick up each other's weaknesses. You pick up each other's strengths.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because Olivia and I are definitely, we have different paces, but like we would also never hold that against each other. Because like I do go like all the time, you know, like that's why I'm the whiskey. And she would never like, you know, make me feel bad for texting her at like 11 p.m. And I would also never make her feel bad for not texting me back at 11 p.m. because I understand that like my mind works differently than hers. And, you know, we have different boundaries, and, you know, it's about like respecting those and kind of using them to your advantages.
I did like the same thing last night. I was like working on something at home, and Hailey was out for dinner, and like, I think she was like with family dinner, and I like did all this stuff, and I wrote a schedule for our Instagram, and I was like, we need to do it in this order. I sent her a picture. I go, wrote a new plan, but it was like 10 o'clock at night. And she's like, no.
When I got home, I was like, hey, so was that family dinner?
That sounds good.
That sounds good. Let's talk tomorrow.
And, you know, Olivia and I know each other's schedules pretty much to a T now. So we'll always be like, hey, don't feel obligated to respond. I just need to text these things to like get them off my mental so that they're
It's like
out
a
into the ether. Yeah, it is. It is a to-do.
Yeah.
And sometimes those conversations are uncomfortable, you know? And I think that's something I really want to communicate to our listeners is like, it's not all fucking flowers and daisies. It's not all just like, hey, I didn't like when you did that. Okay, I'll change next time. Like, you know, they are uncomfortable conversations you have to have sometimes to draw those boundaries. Yeah, like even as much as Jess and I work together, and as for as long as we've worked together, we still have those, you know, we still have those riffs where in the moment it's awkward and we're like doing a standoff. And it's so funny because our friends who are like with us, they're like, you guys good? And we're like, yeah, it's fine. Like, just let us do our thing. But, you know, sometimes it has to be confrontational. And I think that's something that scares people a lot of times, but it's a part of growth, I think. Growth is uncomfortable.
And I think too, it's like whenever you are just friends with someone and you get into an argument, you like, okay, you take a few days and you have space.
Yes.
When you're in a business with someone, you don't have a few days to take off. So you have to like
figure it
out in the moment.
Or drop it.
Yeah. See, I'm very much so the kind of person who's like, I need to talk it out. We need to fix this. And she's like, well, no, it's fine. We're fine.
Sweep it under the rug.
Oh, my whole life is under a rug.
No.
I'm like, whatever happened, I'm just like, I don't want to talk about it. We're good, right? Cool.
Yeah.
That's me.
But I really do, like I said earlier, I think it's such a good push for your, like, I know for me, like, especially during quarantine when we weren't seeing each other and like communication's all we really had to rely on, and we were still doing the podcast every week and like, you know, working on whatever other projects we had. It can get tough, but I really feel like the worst conflicts that we have are really just a reflection of like what we both need to work on individually within ourselves, you know. But it's nice to have that person who is kind of like they'll be your no person, and they will give you grace for your own issues. But I'm telling you, like my like deepest issues, I feel like are confronted with Jess, and like we get through it kind of together.
And those are
which is
your
nice.
like your shadows. Have you looked into that before? Your shadows.
Tell
it's
me.
like one of my favorite books, by the way. Dark Side of the Light Chasers.
Dark Side of the Light Chasers.
It's the book of the month.
Yeah, it's our book of the month on the Collective
Ooh,
Ritual.
book of the month.
Book
Yeah,
of
we've
the
been
month.
saying we're gonna do a book club, and we still haven't done it.
Yeah, that's essentially what we want to do with like the community as well. Have a book of the month, and you know, like do Zooms and talk about it. And so the Dark Side of the Light Chasers, it's basically about all the negative aspects you see in yourself and that you don't want to be. So one is like, for example, like jealous. Like if someone calls you like, you're really jealous, Jessica, you'd be like, no, I'm not.
I would be like, I probably am.
But basically, if there's any words that have a trigger behind them,
Yeah.
those are considered like your shadows, and they're like
Yes.
the negative aspects that you try not to be. Like for me is like unorganized. Like I like strive not to be unorganized, but I'm really freaking unorganized. And
Chelsea, I think we're low-key the same person.
probably.
As Olivia and I are.
But yeah, so those are your shadows, and it's basically like you meet your shadow, and she goes through and sees all her shadows, and she sees the good in all of them. You know, like there's a good side to being unorganized.
That gave me goosebumps.
Yeah, so it's about appreciating your shadows, and it's really, really awesome.
No, I'm definitely going to read that.
You should. You look at all your negative things and everything you judge yourself for.
You like
so
start
different.
to like, it's like almost like about self-love and acceptance. You know?
like for example, like the word like, what's a word that we always say that's like a trigger word? Classy.
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 It's a big trigger word for
like
both of us.
CLASSY.
Like you have to be classy. You have to be a classy girl. And it's like,
you have to be like a lady.
You have to be a
Yes.
lady. Like that.
That's mine.
You know? Okay, so like that's like a shadow that you like you try so hard to be, but like and you're like ashamed if you're not. So that's like a shadow.
See, when anyone I hate when anyone tells me to.
But
try and be
also
a
the
lady
opposite
or
of being
something.
like not classy, you're fun, you're outgoing, you don't give a shit. You're
You
carefree.
love-
You
yeah.
love
Walking
being yourself.
outside
Yeah.
and being like dirty.
Down to
and, like,
earth, playing in nature, walking barefoot.
Yeah.
But that's considered not classy. But there's good, you know, being not classy is also a great thing to be.
There's good in all of these things. Love that.
I would love to get into what you guys are thinking down the line for Collective Ritual. I know it's still your baby, it's still your infant, but down the line, if you guys have any ideas in store or just some goals of yours, like how you feel like you guys could expand, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, we have so many ideas that are coming up. I think with the Collective Ritual, just starting this, we're seeing all of the different avenues that it can go. But one of the really exciting things is we want to start doing a retreat, like an online retreat. So it'll be like a whole Sunday where it has different practitioners, shamans, yoga, healthy recipe, like have a whole schedule throughout your day. So you can do it from home and even have a friend over and do it with them. So
Yeah, and you'll even get like when you sign up like a little box, a gift box that'll go with like each practitioner, you know. So you'll get sage to clear the space, and then, you know, it'll kind of go down the line
my
with all the
God,
practitioners.
So
And
fun.
then what else? And also our journal workshops. That's something really exciting, which dives into shadows, inner child, rewriting your story, and, you know, just
Oh my God.
being your most authentic self and loving yourself. Yeah.
And then also having the guests be able to speak, or the people who are doing the workshop come in and talk about their shadows and whatever else we're talking about, and just have that safe space. So
I love it. I'm excited. And then at some point, obviously COVID pending, would you guys consider doing physical retreats as well?
Oh, yeah.
yeah, 100%. I think that's one of our really big goals out of this, and we can do them all over the world, because Chelsea lives in Miami, but I actually live in Switzerland full time. I'm only in Miami because, well, COVID, and it's hard to get back there. So we want to be doing retreats all over the world, and
So we're all going to Switzerland.
Up. We will
Really
be
cool.
there literally
Yeah.
in a heartbeat. I was telling them before, like, retreats have always kind of intimidated me because it's like, I don't know, it's just this whole thing. And I'm like, I don't even know if I'm like spiritual enough to like go to a spiritual retreat, but I would hop on a plane with you guys in a heartbeat.
oh well,
So,
you're always welcome.
I'm excited. I'm pumped.
Super excited.
And that's the cool thing too. Like, I love the point you made. Like, you have so many ideas and ways that it can go. It's such a fun, creative process.
It's like opportunities are endless when you start this.
Endless.
It's so cool. It's
Endless. And like, you guys are the bosses. Like, that's what we always remind ourselves. We're like, fuck, we're 30 minutes, you know, behind or on this or whatever. And then we look at each other and we're like, we make the rules. Why are we stressing ourselves out, acting like we're going to get fired?
It's because it's a competition with yourself, right? You're like, I'm supposed to be doing this properly. So then you're just like, you're mad at yourself. You're like, I'm not working hard enough.
Yeah.
I need to work harder.
It's definitely a complex. But it's fun because you really are your own bosses, and you can decide where you want to go, like whatever you want to do, where you want to take a day off. Exactly.
Yeah, we're learning that now. It's like, bosses.
Yes.
Whoa, we're the bosses, Chelsea.
I know.
And it's so fun to be creative too, and I'm excited for you guys.
Thank you.
Yes. If we're gonna get into our last 2 questions, and then you can tell everyone where they can follow you guys and learn more about Collective Ritual. But let's dive into these 2 questions that we like to ask every guest. The first being is, what is a Biz Pro Tip? So a pro tip could be like something really small, like an app you use, or something really big, like a mindset tip. What would be, and you guys can do each individual ones or one together. It doesn't matter.
Honestly, I think it's so simple. But if you are this type of person, is my planner. My planner is my favorite thing. I write in it every morning. I write in it all day. I write like to-do lists. I write my gratitude. I write things that I want. I have one little side page that I write my goals. Something comes up, I'm like, ooh, I wanna reach out to that brand. I write everything down. Just write it down, write it down, write it down.
Yeah, and we also have been using this app called Asana. I don't know if you guys, great. It's amazing. So we've been plugging in everything and like checking it out.
Do you guys use that?
We use an app or a website called Trello.
Trello?
Which is, I think, similar to Asana. It's like a project management tool, right?
Yeah.
Do you like it?
We love Trello. We've been using it for years.
Oh, really?
But we haven't tried out Asana yet, so...
Well, we're open to more.
Yeah, we're open to others, but I really like it. I think we're trying to figure out if we both.
I think the scheduling thing is like the hardest thing to find.
Yeah, but we've heard a lot about Asana, and we've always debated like if we should go into it, if we should stick with Trello. And I think it's interesting that you write everything down physically, because I know that's a debate. Like a lot of people are like, would you rather write things down in physical journal or like put stuff in an app or in your notes? So for you, why do you choose to write it down instead?
I like seeing it and like actually doing it. When it's on my phone, like this is a place where I have freaking Instagram and TikTok and emails and text messages and 57,000 photos in my freaking photos. So it's like, this to me is like clutter. Yeah. You know, but when I have one piece of paper it's day by day, I know what I have to do that day. And then I got one of those calendars, actually she bought it for me. One of those big calendars where it's the whole month on your desk, you know, the whole thing.
Yes.
So I can literally see what we're doing on like the 22nd of the month today.
Nice.
Because I don't like that you have to flip through and find it on the map. Find it on the calendar. So visual. I'm a visual person, I guess.
Nice.
So I also have another one. So on Apple, you know how you can have these widgets and I have Pinterest blown up, and I have a specific folder on Pinterest that's all of my inspiration for the Collective Ritual.
Nice.
So I have that specific board come up, so every hour it changes and has different inspirational quotes and pictures. So I'm like, I can post this on the Collective because it's inspiring, and it shows up this.
That is genius.
It's amazing.
We literally need to do that for. Can you teach me how to do that?
100%, I got you.
I'm like, we own a creative digital agency, and I need you to teach me how to make a widget. No, I freaking love that, because like the power of like having visuals and like just like that's why people do mood boards and stuff like that, or in dream boards and whatever. What are they called? Vision boards.
And that's ultimately what that is.
Exactly.
But it's just like always changing. Yeah. So you can connect it right to whatever board you want it to be on. And you can have multiple Pinterest widgets as well. Like, so if you want one board, let's say you want that to be the Collective Ritual inspiration, or you want, for Casa, you want furniture inspiration.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? So
we should make that like a post for this month, or for this episode. We should do like a how to do that, because I just think that's so powerful.
Not a lot of people know. People are like, how did you get that picture on there?
But the picture changes like
every hour. You can change it like every day, every hour. That's
crazy to me. That's awesome.
Yeah, that is a pro tip. Absolutely. Going back to the I love what you said about, because I'm the same way about the phone feeling cluttered and the TikTok and Instagram and everything. And I actually had to tell my mom yesterday, I'm like, because she's always like texting me and I don't reply. And I'm like, it's not that I don't reply. It's that like we're dealing with a lot of information overload constantly with our devices and our faces all the time. And I'm the same way. Like I'm considering getting like this special phone that only lets you call and text and tells you the time and has like an alarm clock that is separate from that, because that is work to me. Wow. That's not personal at all.
I'm a caller. If you want to talk to me, you call me. You FaceTime me, and that's the only way we're talking. If I'm texting, I'm a horrible texter. I'll like respond to things, and she'd be like, you have to like say like, hi, how are you? Like, how have you been? To like emails even. I'm like straight to the point. I'm like, what are you doing? Like I'm just like very like, it means business to me, you know?
Yeah. I love that you have your agenda and like your journal completely separate. That's genius.
Do you use a specific brand or just like one that you picked up randomly?
Oh gosh. Oh, this is actually something Collective Ritual that we've been stirring up.
Ooh.
It's very hard to find a good planner.
Yeah, no, it is. And
so
honestly,
hard to find a good planner.
I was a planner person for a really long time. Like I was the same way. Like everything I had was in my planner, had to write it down or I couldn't like function. But like I just came to realize like it was just getting too cluttered, you know, having to buy one every, you know, so often was annoying, but
and then you get over it.
Yeah. And then I do want to return to it though. So I'm interested if you have like a good brand or whatnot.
Like this small
the spaces are so small.
Oh, no. So, I mean, I use one right now that it's not bad, but again, like there's no like monthly view. There's no weekly view. It's so far away and you got to flip back and forth and I don't know where everything is. So that is something that we've been talking about with the collective. Cause I really want to make a kick-ass journal.
Yeah.
That's just
and it's so funny that you said that because I literally had a real similar idea. I was like, I want to make one that's like for like women in business. Like, you know, you can see like your quarterly goals and you can see your yearly goals and, you know, it's like something that's like more trackable and you can have affirmations at the top and, you know, things like that. Like, I mean, I just feel like there's definitely a gap in that market.
For sure.
So listen, you guys make one, I'm buying it. We'll make a whiskey and water edition.
Yes.
Yes. And so our second question, we definitely got off track a little bit there. I'm like, what planner do you use? So our second question is, what is the best piece of advice that you've ever received? And you guys can go individually.
Yeah. So my favorite piece of advice that I've ever received was actually from a book, The 4 Agreements. Maybe everyone has read that. I mean, most people on this.
Brothers, if you haven't, you need to read that.
You guys, it's the best. And it's to not take anything personally. And although it's a struggle, it's something that I've really been working on. And something in the book was what people say and do is just a part of their own reality. As soon as you realize this, it's easier to get over unnecessary suffering, and it really helps you to care not about what others think. You know? Yeah,
I say that literally. That's probably would be my same answer. Yeah, it's not because it's literally changed my life.
And it's a work in progress, right?
Totally.
Like, but that's like a really good reminder to just. Nope, don't take it personally. That's their own shit.
Constantly.
That's their own triggers.
Yeah, that's their own thing.
Yeah,
it's not you.
And that goes for everything. Work, relationships, family, significant other, everything. Strangers. Oh, strangers for sure.
Yeah, strangers. Like in traffic.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
What I was thinking.
And mine would definitely be, I guess it's not like a piece of advice, but I guess it is, that there is a silver lining to absolutely everything. You know, regardless of how negative it feels in the moment, how like life altering it feels. And trust me, I've been there where you're just like, there is no damn silver lining to this situation. It's over. But there is, you know, whether you find it in a year from now or you find it in 5 years from now. Could be a bad relationship you're in for like 3 years and you don't realize for like 3 more years after you're like dealing with the turmoil from it. But there is a silver lining to absolutely everything, and everything will happen for the greater good.
Love that.
Amen to that.
Hell yeah, brother. Amazing. So, wow, this has been such an amazing conversation, guys. Thank you so much for coming in the Whiskey and Water studio for the second time. Yeah. Glad my power stayed on this entire time. Incredible.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
it was
thank
very
you.
Good.
This was really, really cool.
Yeah. Our
I was
first
nervous.
4-person episode.
I know, we were scared, but
so
it wasn't
nervous,
scary.
But this was like very intimidating, this whole get up. But
now professional setup.
So professional.
Listen, I'm having imposter syndrome as we speak. I'm like, we're not professionals.
I'm like, we're on a podcast. Why do we go on a podcast?
No, you guys are awesome. You're kicking ass, and we're honestly so like honored to see the journey and support you guys. Aww. Our fellow Miami females killing it. If people want to follow you guys, your journey, learn more about you, where can they find you on Instagram and your websites and everything?
So our Instagram is The Collective Ritual, as it's spelled, and the website is thecollectiveritual.com. Yep. And I am at Hailey Outland on Instagram.
And I am Chelcie May, CHELCIE.
Sweet. Yeah. Okay, guys, if you like this episode, you can look right there because we're high. If anyone's watching on YouTube, that's where they'll be. If you guys like this episode, you can take a screenshot and post it on your story, tag us, let us know you're listening. We love to see it. And that wraps up this week, guys. We'll see you next week for another episode.
Hell yeah, brother.
Hell yeah, brother. Bye. Bye.